this will stand for free your mind and your soul. Yo, half the story has never been told. Ladies, you got to demand what you want, and what we want is respect, right? Yo, just sit up on the track, I know so you have to feel it right. Freedom every time for the sisters. Check this. Watch this.
Here we go now. Listen, if I'm Poopa rule, I be the ruler like Slick Rick. Get with this quick-witted Adidas wearing chick. Papa got a brand new bag. Mama got a brand new Jag. Or go tag. I ain't no old hag. I represent not only in the kitchen, in the bedroom, but also in the boardroom. So give me more room. Deny my opportunity. You in jeopardy. Yo, set me free. Don't hinder me. Let me be.
I'm fighting for freedom. I got the heat in case you need them. Straight soldier. Ain't nobody told ya. Hold up on them lies. I know your games and your plans.
Hello, welcome one and all. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, and we're also live on Clubhouse. Welcome to the newly named the Book Slam Xtra. I'm your host. My name is Jules. Welcome. We have got a nice lineup tonight for you tonight. We've got a new guest author, but we also have a newly established author who's been with us a while as well. And they're both going to do some reading with us and have some discussions, and we're going to talk about lots of stuff. So I'm going to get started. We're going to introduce our new author of the evening. I'm going to welcome her. Now, would you like me to call you? Is it your Twitter handle you'd prefer, or is it your actual name? What would you prefer to be introduced as?
Either or. Jazz is fine, but my Twitter handle, for anyone who's wondering, is @JustAShittyPoet.
Nice.
Spelled exactly how it sounds.
Excellent. Is that so? That's at. And do you have capital letters? Is it just? Oh, sorry, my pen's rolling all over the place and taking me off that. Right, let me put it in the little pen handle. There we go. So is it just a shitty poet? As in like
just a shitty poet.
Just, and then is it capital A and then shitty? I'm going to post it to everyone because I think everyone needs to come and follow you on Twitter. Because I have to say, oh no, I've posted a 7. Ignore the 7. The 7 is not part of it. I'm sorry, my finger caught the button as I pressed enter. So I've been following you for a little while on Twitter, and I know we've had a little bit of a conversation on Twitter, and we're part of the same writers group, which is awesome. And was it you who invited me?
No, I don't think it was. It was probably one of my good friend. But I was really happy to meet you and to be a part of this.
Likewise. Do you know what? It's such a nice thing to be part of a group of like-minded people, even if you write in completely different genres. Because I think that writing is a lonely task sometimes. So having a group of people who you can turn to for guidance is quite nice.
In the past, sorry. In the past, everyone there was all these groups of authors. Like, for example, when Frankenstein was written, it was because a group of authors got together and we're talking about potential ghost stories. So I think it's great that Twitter allows us to have those spaces. And I actually have a writers group too that I've been meaning to add you to. So I'll do that today.
Yes, I'll be first there. That would be awesome. So and obviously you have your incorrectly labeled just a shitty poet, which I did the 7 on, but ignore that. You have that as your handle. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Is that the genre that you write in? Is there a particular type of poetry that you prefer? Do you kind of I don't know, what kind of poetry do you write?
I do a lot of pieces that are probably better as spoken word, but can definitely be written as well or read as well. I don't really prescribe to a specific genre. Although what I try to do with my poetry is I try to advocate for sexual abuse survivors, people with mental health issues, and eating disorders as well. What I try to do with my poetry is I try to make people uncomfortable so that they can think about things in a new way.
There's nothing more interesting than reading where it doesn't have to be a poem, but obviously in this case it is. But there's nothing more interesting than reading a piece of work or piece of literature that makes you put it down and go, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I kind of like it, but I'm not sure. but not as in it's badly written. It's made me really think about, well, what does that mean? So the fact that you've been able to do that, that's a skill in itself, isn't it? Because lots of people really struggle writing poetry. So you written word, how did you get started?
I started when I started reading Shakespeare in grade 2. I didn't quite understand it until grade 4, but in grade 2 is when I found my love for poetry through that. And so I started writing, and I actually have some pieces in my book that is not out yet, but I'm coming out with from grade 2 that I've obviously edited a little bit. But I've been writing since then consistently because I've been depressed. Luckily I'm coming out of it now, but I had been depressed since grade 1. That's pretty much as far back as I can remember. And I'm such a happy, bubbly person when you talk to me and when you meet me, that I just needed some way to get all that darkness out. And so that became my outlet, and I just kept rolling with it. And eventually I realized that this is something I really want to do.
Now, I'm not au fait with grades in terms of year groups, because obviously, as you can probably hear from my accent, I'm not from your part of the world. So we do year groups. So what age range is grade 2?
Grade 2 would be about 7, 8.
Wow. So you were looking at Shakespeare at age 7 and 8 years old.
Wait, is it 7 and 8? I think it's like 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in the top 1% of literacy intelligence in my entire country. I'm in the 99th percentile. Unfortunately, I haven't done much with that because I dropped out of high school due to bullying and a range of mental health issues. But I actually just did my equivalency test yesterday. So I'm going back to school finally.
That's amazing. And I'm really, really sorry to hear that you've, experienced mental health difficulties, because obviously we still don't live in a particularly kind world, which is completely accepting of absolutely everything yet. And even though mental health issues are still well known and they're still they are understood, there's still a lot of stigma attached to them, and society and children can be quite cruel. So I'm really sorry that's happened to you, and that you've had to go through that. But I'm genuinely so pleased that you're here and you're able to sort of talk about it. You talked a little bit about you're generally a happy person, but what you show people is obviously like not what you necessarily feel inside. So is that you kind of like put a bit of a shield up or a bit of a wall up and sort of keep people at arm's length, or is it kind of like
it's so funny because I am one of the most open, honest people you will ever meet. I will tell you my whole life story the first time I meet you, but at the same time you never really know me. And I think the only way people can truly get to know me is through my poetry, because that's the only time that I'm really raw and real with myself and with the world, and it's the only time I feel like I really have a voice. And so that's what I want to do too, is help other people find their voices.
And that takes a lot of courage, and I commend you for that as well, because to speak up and speak out, it takes a lot of, you have to kind of steel yourself a little bit, don't you? So thank you for sharing that. So what you said, that like you were in like a very top percentile in terms of your literature. What interests you about literature in general? Because obviously someone could be like really clever in something but have zero interest in it. So obviously there's a match there, isn't it, between not only your ability but also your interest. So what is it that kind of drove you to it?
I'm not sure what really sparked it. I hated reading in kindergarten and through grade 1. Refused to do it. As soon as I like picked up a good book that wasn't a children's book, not saying children's books aren't good, but you know what I mean, like a more adult level book, I just went away with it. I taught myself how to read and I kept on going. And And but I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I didn't really have any friends. So reading was an escape for me. And writing was an escape for me. It was the only way to get out how I felt because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I had my mom. My mom's wonderful. But there's only so much you can say without worrying them, you know? So reading and writing were always just my way out of this world. And it's funny because now I don't feel like I need to escape so much. But that's allowed me to come out and finally share my work with other people because I want other people to be able to escape through my work.
And I am genuinely looking. I'm not only fascinated, but I'm genuinely looking forward to hearing you read some of your work. So you mentioned Shakespeare. Have you had any other influences over your writing?
Oh, definitely Sylvia Plath. Sorry, I'm just plugging in my phone right now. It's about to die.
It's interesting that you say that actually, because I've got a student who I teach, and we've been doing Sylvia Plath with her as well, and she's doing the poem Daddy, and she's found it really difficult to analyze and to understand. I mean, it's such a complex poem, and it initially reads like a snobby English woman, even though she isn't English. She was born in America, but it initially reads like that. And then actually you start looking at the stanzas and then the metaphors, and then it's like, hang on a minute. It's really
that's
deep.
What I love about poetry like that. And that's why I love about Shakespeare too. Like a lot of people like Shakespeare because he's all, oh, la, 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 you know, but I like him because he wasn't like that. He wrote for the common people. He made up words. He was raunchy and dirty. And like, I actually got to teach. I was such a teacher's pet that my teacher let me teach Romeo and Juliet to the class. Nice. And so I would explain it in modern day terms. And my favorite scene is like the first scene of Romeo and Juliet, where two servants are pretty much like, excuse my language here, but it's two servants pretty much going, I'm going to kill your man and F all your wives. No, I'm going to kill your man and F all your wives. No, I'm going to kill your man and F all your wives. And then Tybalt comes in and starts being all Tybalt. And it's hilarious. And so I love things that seem haughty and profound that have so much more there.
There's a scene in Romeo and Juliet actually where you've got her handmaid and her mother talking. There's scolding Juliet, but at the same time it's a really dirty conversation between the mother and the maid, and it's like, hang on a minute. So like the maid and the mother are talking about sex, and there's lots of sexual innuendos, and Juliet's like, what I don't know what you're talking about.
And even the whole purpose of Rosaline as a character is to show that it's not love. It is not love. Romeo was in love with Rosaline. Then as soon as he saw Juliet, he's like, no, that's the girl I want to fuck.
And it was like 3 days.
So he was making fun of other
3 days of romance. No, sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's okay. I just get excited about Shakespeare.
I like Shakespeare. I remember when I was at school, we had to do Othello, and that's quite a tricky one because obviously there's lots of racial stuff going on in it. And so when you're trying to teach a whole bunch of impressionable 13 and 14-year-olds about race who at that time probably weren't that bothered. It was really tricky. I do feel for the teacher trying to engage a whole load of students who are completely not interested in Shakespeare, this completely new language. But what was really cool is it was around the time when the Globe was built. They remade the Globe, so Shakespeare's original Globe that he used to actually do his shows in. Yeah, they rebuilt it, so it was around that time, and so we actually went out and visited it. It was amazing.
I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to go and see an OP pronunciation, OP stands for original pronunciation. But I've always wanted to see, an original pronunciation one, because his poetry hits so differently when you hear it in the proper accent. It's actually more of a piratey kind of accent. Like that's the most similar thing that I can compare it to, rather than what you hear them. I forget what the other pronunciation is called in acting, but in the original pronunciation, things rhyme that didn't rhyme in our modern English talk. Or actually, Shakespeare is technically modern English. A lot of people think that he's Middle English or Old English, but he is technically modern English. Pet peeve of mine.
It's so cool to see you, like, you're so excited, you know, by Shakespeare. It's so nice to meet someone who really engages with it, because there's so many people in this country who are just like, oh, Shakespeare.
I know, but he was my biggest inspiration, and a singer named Skylar Grey. If anyone takes anything from this, go check out Skylar Grey, because her music is pretty much the soundtrack to my life. Her album Don't Look Down, I can relate to everything in that. And she's from a similar hometown to me. In Wisconsin. I don't live in Wisconsin anymore, but so she was a big inspiration of mine as well.
It's so cool. It's nice when you sort of find someone who you can feel like their lyrics or their life experience. Oh, we've lost her. She's disappeared. I think maybe her laptop may have died. So that's okay, because we're going to wait for her to come back, because she's amazing. So in the meantime, oh, she's back again. Hi, Jess.
I accidentally left. I'm sorry. I don't know how that happened.
It's fine. Don't worry about it at all. It's fine. It happens. Technology. I was just saying, it's so nice to actually, you know, find someone who you can relate to, that that inspires you, whether they're, you know, whatever the kind of artistry is that they do, or even if it's not, maybe a politician inspires you. Who knows? Any of that is just so cool. So do you have any books out at the moment?
I do not have any books out, but I have 2 books that I have coming out, so keep an eye on them. Once again, follow me at Just a Shitty Poet on Twitter. I'll be posting updates there. But they are called, and I've copyrighted the titles, so I don't mind saying them. One is called Sluts, Whores, and the Reasons We Deserve More. And the other is called Addictions, Overdoses, and the Oxford Comma.
Oh, the Oxford comma. Oh my goodness. That has caused quite a few debates on Twitter, I have seen. Yeah. And what's quite interesting is the Oxford comma seems to be like the biggest defenders of it seem to not be English. The English
I'm a defender of the Oxford comma. I love the Oxford comma.
I know lots of English people are just like, it doesn't need to be there. It's fine. It's not essential. So we don't tend to get taught with the Oxford comma very much anymore. I know some schools do, but like I didn't learn the Oxford comma until I was an adult.
And like
so
in poetry and stuff, I find it so important, and because like it's the last thing in a list, and you should pause. Like sluts, whores, and the reasons we deserve more. There's a pause there, so there should be a comma there.
That is a valid point. I accept that. I do use the Oxford comma now, to be fair, in my defense. So yeah. But do you know what? It'd be so lovely to hear some of the stuff that you have written. You know, you can choose whatever you like, but I love those titles. Sluts, Whores, and so hang on. Sluts, Whores, and what's it called?
And the Reasons We Deserve More.
Sluts, Whores, and the Reason We Deserve to Love More. Oh wow, that's cool. That's deep. In terms of like, I'm guessing in terms of, it's almost like a mirror being held up against some of the poetry that you've written or some of the stuff that you've written.
Yes, I actually have a poem that is titled that. It wasn't the one I was set to read today, but I can read it. Could I read 2 quickly?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be absolutely delighted to hear. What I will do is I'm going to mute myself, so it's just going to be your voice for a moment, and feel free to just do one and then go straight onto the other one, or you can pause and I'll come back on and we can have a chat about it, and then we can do the next one. So whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Alrighty. I think we'll do one and then have a chat and then do the other one. But I'm going to do the one I was gonna read first, and then Sluts, Whores, and Movies Are More. But just I want to put a trigger warning for people. My poetry makes people uncomfortable.
I think that's sometimes a good thing, because isn't poetry meant to make people think and make people think outside of what their actual thinking is, and get people to see things from other points of views and things like that. So I think it's good to make people uncomfortable, and I'm so looking forward to hearing you read. So without further ado, would you like to be introduced as just a shitty poet, which I'm sure you're not, or as Jazz?
Either or, you pick.
Well, I have to say, I like your Twitter handle, so I'm going to hand it over as that. So I'm going to welcome to the floor, Just the Shitty Poet.
Thank you for the welcome. This is She's So Pretty number 2. She's so pretty, they say, even though she's heard it a million times. She'd rather be complimented on her rhymes, even though sometimes she doesn't rhyme at all. She'd rather be complimented on her reason or be told all the reasons you love her. She's so pretty, they always say. As she just talked to you about Shakespeare for half an hour or told you her deepest, darkest secrets, all you have to say to her is that she's so pretty. She's so perfect, you say. And that's all she's ever tried to be. Perfect in the eyes of a man. That isn't such a hard thing to be, it turns out, you see. All you need is the hair and the face and the body and just enough of a mouth. Just enough of a mouth to open up and put his penis inside. Just be pretty. She's just so pretty. Thank you.
Wow.
And that's the first piece.
Well, so tell me a little bit about this piece, because the title is very misleading, isn't it, in terms of what it's going to be about, in the sense that you think it's going to go one way and it's going to be like a love poem. I know obviously we talked about it and we knew that it kind of wasn't going to go that way, but if you haven't ever read any of your poetry before or listened to this conversation, you would think, oh, that's a love poem about how pretty someone is. And then it shocks you a little bit. So tell me a little bit about this piece.
Well, it's a sequel to She's So Pretty number 1, which is, these will both be in my book. And in the first one, I explore things that I went through in high school and how I had kind of a glow up and how I realized, being pretty wasn't everything. And the first poem ends with, so yes, she's so very pretty, but that really doesn't mean much. And now had a lot of experiences with men, and not many of them have gone well. Unfortunately, I have a great boyfriend right now. He's amazing. He's wonderful. But in my past, I made a lot of mistakes. And I wanted to explore the idea deeper of what being pretty means in society and what being a pretty girl means to, I don't want to say most men, but to the men that I've encountered.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to tell a story about just experiences that so many women have had. Like you'll notice that someone isn't looking at your face. They're looking at your tits or your mouth or your ass or something while they're talking to you. Or even, for example, just writing someone off as having followers because, oh, it's probably a bunch of guys that want to fuck you. Being devaluated down to your body. All you are as a woman often is your body and how good you look, and that is what your value is based upon. And I struggled with that for so long, to find value in more than my looks, because I was so hypersexualized and told that that's where my value lied, and I told myself that's where my value lied. And so this is me saying that there's so much more.
I think, and I'm sorry that you've gone through that. And I think that your experiences are mirrored by a significant amount of women and girls across the globe. And if we look at what's going on in Iran at the moment, for example, and obviously, you know, what's going on in America.
Actually from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm very well up to date on it.
Yeah. I feel that just as we reach that point where we could reach an equality sort of plateau, it kind of the bar moves, the expectation moves. There's another bit we have to jump through, and we never get there. And I don't know when we will. You know, it's been a long journey. You know, and I think that the work that you've done is just so powerful. So in terms of you said you've got, like, obviously you've got number 1 and number 2. So how come you chose to write? Did you like plan to write 2 poems to do with the same thing, or was it like that the number 2 is like I think I need to add to this because?
Number 2 was I think I need to add to this because I have a lot of series, like poem series, and all they do is they show either how my mindset has changed or grown throughout the years. Like I wrote She's So Pretty 1, and I have it right here in 2017. I wrote it, so I was 17 at the time because I was born in 2000. And then this one I just wrote the other day, so it expands upon it and shows more.
So as you grow and develop as a person, so does your literature. Yeah, and I think that's so true with writing, isn't it? That's the right way of it being in existence. You know, I am dying to hear the next piece that you have for us. So what's this one called?
This one is the title poem of the book, and it is Sluts, Whores, and the Reasons We Deserve More, written in 2021.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to mute, so it's just going to be your voice. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Just a Shitty Poet.
Am I just a human fucking pocket pussy? Even if I dressed how everyone wanted me to, they wouldn't stop trying to shove their dicks and dick opinions up my belly button, which doesn't have room for either. Neither does any other part of me. So screw off with your bullshit and stop worrying about my shit unless you really want to witness some verbal diarrhea. The idea that I'm only worth what I wear or that it's my job to stop someone's fucking dick from getting hard is as antiquated as telling me to shut up about my rape, which happens all the time, by the way. That might as well be saying that it's my fault, but it is the world's fault. The world made me this way, but I've changed and I can't seem to stay comfortable because they keep telling me to get changed again. You're going to say you're so happy I can write this shit and talk about this shit, but you won't change shit. Thank God, like a lot of women, I'm anemic, so most of the time I'm comfortable in a parka, but even wearing that, I can't be comfortable in a park during daytime. The thing that pisses me off the most is it isn't even always men holding us to the standard. It is all the women who will throw you dirty looks that are convinced that men can only think dirty thoughts when they're just as human and complex as we are. If we can even call ourselves human for how we treat each other, we other one another. Every time I've made a friend, I've discovered there's only one end, which is them throwing everything I've said back in my fucking face. We've never been there for each other. But we're all just trying to protect ourselves, and I've never understood why we can't protect ourselves together. There's strength in numbers, which, by the way, I did the math, and mine is at least 364. And I may be a fucking whore, but at least you'll never hear me calling another girl a slut without giving them a high five for it. End piece.
Nice. I like the fact that you made it. So, I mean, like, you performed that. You didn't just read that. So that was really powerful. You obviously have so much passion towards what you were saying in the words that you had written there. Do you feel that? I mean, I sensed that there was anger behind your words as well, but not anger in a bad way, but anger in a good way, that you wanted to make changes. You wanted the world to change. And I agree with you. I don't. You saw me nodding. I completely agree with you. We get judged by men and women, and we are also bad at judging others too. We tend to judge men and go, "Oh no, they can't feel anything because they're just men," and that's not the case.
And I'm not absolving myself from any of this. I am included in these poems, like, but I just want this poem was to be about. I purposely set it up as if I'm talking about men, and then I switch it to women for the women to be like, oh shit, maybe I'm complicit in this, because we need to gas each other up. We need to build each other up, not break each other down. And I just see that so often, and it saddens me.
Yeah, 100%. I think we already have enough inequality in this world. If we don't support each other and we don't look after each other and don't treat each other with respect, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think it's, you know, it's really important to sort of like, you know, make others aware that actually it's not just one group of people that causes the problem. So sorry, my hair's
and you mentioned respect, and that just made me think of plur, peace, love, unity, respect. Plur,
I love
guys.
that. I love that. I love that. That's so cool. Well, are you going to stick around for the rest of the evening?
Absolutely, I will. Thank you again for having me.
You are so welcome. So, Just a Shitty Poet. So, yeah, if you haven't followed her already, follow her on Twitter. I will put the correct handle up this time for people to be able to follow her. But yeah, a fantastic poetry, and thank you so much for sharing your work with us, and also your reasons why you're writing. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful.
Thank you again for giving me the space. I know that my poetry can be a bit visceral, but I really appreciate having the space to share it.
You're very welcome. It's most welcome to have a poet on here and to be able to to read such powerful words. So thank you so much. All right, have a lovely listen. All right, okay. So I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's having a really good afternoon, evening, nighttime, morning, wherever you happen to be in the world. I hope you're having a great time. Don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. Follow us we're on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and obviously we're on Clubhouse too. So any of the authors that we have who join us, it'd be awesome if you could follow them too and support their work. Okay, so we are going to move on to the next reader of the evening. I am very excited because I keep telling her that I have actually bought her book, and I don't think she believes me. And then she sent me a very exciting message over the weekend to say that she had actually bought mine. So as evidence, I have it here, but I don't know if she can see yet, so because I can't see her on the camera. So oh no, that's Indy's book. I'm sorry, I'm holding up the wrong book. That's Indy's book, What If White People Were Slaves? So that's a very good one. So if you, I know you can't see on Clubhouse, but I'm holding up Indy's book, What If White People Were Slaves? Very good book. This is the book that I meant to hold up. Sorry, by Reese, the storyteller. But I don't know if she can hear me or see me. Oh, she can. Very exciting. Hello, Reese. Hang on a second. Oh, you disappeared again. Not connected. Oh, she's connecting again. Hang on a second. The joys of modern technology.
My internet's getting weird today.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry at all. Did you see, like...
Look, it's my book.
I know. I told you I bought it. I just keep meaning to show it to you each time, like, we're on, and like, yeah. And I didn't see it, so I was like, I've got to show her that I have it. I could actually read along, couldn't I? And you got my book as well, which is also very exciting, but mildly nerve-wracking as well. So yeah, it's all good. So welcome again. So Reese, the storyteller. Tell us a little bit about you. Why just a single name on the front cover of your book? Because that has intrigued me.
That's been a funny thought, Jules. It's hilarious because a friend of mine's like, so why don't you use your full name? And I'm going, nah.
No, I don't want to do that.
Initially, I wanted it to be anonymous, and it's so funny that Jazz was probably hinting toward that too, about how we as women are very particular about the things that we do because of society and because of things that we've been exposed to. So for me, it was more like, I can put my name on it, but I want to have a little bit of anonymity, even though the people that know me know my government name, as we like to say here. But that's really what it was. I wanted to have a little bit of anonymity. My face isn't even in my book, which is the interesting part about it. So for me now, I'm like, you know what? Why not? I got to put myself out there regardless. So they're going to see me one way or another.
But they can't escape it now. Sorry,
exactly. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. But it's funny because but it's funny that you brought that up, because that's true. A lot of people just get to that place where, you know, you get so wrapped up in other people's ideas and opinions of you that you kind of shy away from yourself, and that's an unfortunate thing for a lot of us.
There was a study that was done a while ago to do with book selling, and you know which gender sold the most books in terms of like when their names were on it, and men. Surprise.
Exactly.
And sorry, men, this is not a male bashing zone. We're not dissing you. It's okay. You're amazing and we love you. But they did do a study, and they found that if women changed their name onto a book and didn't put their more feminine version of their name or their actual name, then they sold less, which is actually quite sad. So yeah. So in terms of, tell me a little bit about your reasons, because you've obviously read from this book before, Trapped, and you've obviously read from it before, very, very infamous scene now, which is amazing, by the way, just, you know, putting out there. What made you choose to write in this particular genre? Because it's a very interesting, I mean, it's very popular, isn't it, now? I don't know the history of this genre at all, to be fair. I wish I did. I might find that out after the show, actually.
And sadly, I don't know much about it either. Now you're going to make me go look and go researching it now, Jules, because you know we do this to ourselves.
Well, yeah. Well, that sounds good. I'll do that. I think it's, personally, it's a genre that I would not feel comfortable writing in. I would start writing the word penis and stop at P and delete off the P and go, he's private.
It's like, okay, let's change that word to something else.
Well, yes, I kind of get that. But it's just not.
Adam's all in there too.
It's just not a genre that I personally would feel comfortable writing in, and I don't know why. I don't know whether that's because I'm like, oh, or if it's because I'm just not. It's just I prefer like doing other genres. But I mean, like, go on, tell me why you're writing in the genre, because it's very good. What you've written.
Listen, it's funny because it started out as like love poetry initially when I really started getting into writing. So you're talking about 13, 14-ish. And between that time and high school and just experiences in general in life, it kind of evolved. It also came into short story form at some point. And I got friends that are going, hey, so I have this dream, right? And I want you to write it because I know you're good at doing stuff like that. So it kind of evolved. It kind of grew from that.
All their sexy dreams have been like, they're all part of this book, really. So basically, this is just a journal. Like a literary, was it a voyeur or something?
That's hilarious. Look, and it's so funny because people keep asking me, they're like, so exactly how much of this book is real life? And I'm going, honestly, none of it. Believe it or not, none of it. It's all figments of my imagination and probably exaggerated ideas that I've gotten from friends from things over time. But it is all fiction. And that is kind of unusual because usually fiction plays off of your experiences, which is a good thing because it makes it realistic and it actually makes people connect with your thoughts a whole lot easier. But yep, completely made up. It's kind of messed up that some of this stuff is completely made up because it sounds like things that can happen in real life.
So it's a dark pit somewhere in your mind, the farthest reaches of your mind. That in the evening time when you're alone, you open it and you peer through. Have that bit today.
That's hilarious.
There's a little Reese, a mini Reese, like in the was it Inside Out, the Disney film? Little mini Reese, tiptoe. I'm gonna have
that's hilarious.
That
exactly. It's like, so just in case you didn't know.
And then when there's been drink, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna have that one. That'll do. No, it's not really like that at all. It's very well written. And when you read it as well, it because you have that sort of dusky, sultry accent, it kind of adds to sort of the sexiness that's going on in it. So it's nice. It's you kind of like, I imagine someone, the main character, having your accent. So there you go.
and it works well with that because I mean it's set in New Orleans and New Orleanians have a specific type of accent. Our accents are very distinct, and it's so funny that a lot of people are like, man, I can't really pick out exactly what it is, but y'all sound. I got the country. You sound country. No, I have family from Mississippi in the literal country area, and we sound nothing alike.
It's either that or Reese is distancing herself from the country folk.
No, I love my country people. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was born in Mississippi. I just grew up in New Orleans, but no, it's just funny. I mean, our accents are just different, and they're different across the state, let alone across the U.S. But I wanted to make that a point with my character, specifically Grant's character. Grant's character, she has the typical New Orleans accent, grammar and all. So I like that because again, you get a chance to get pulled into the scene more because you can actually get a chance to figure out who these people are and how they feel.
I really like how you've kind of, so I don't, like I said, I don't write in the genre, so all my books are like based off world kind of thing. I really like how you centered your story in an area that you either live in or near to, or in the area of. And so anyone who's from that area, there's probably other like landmarks and places that you have in your book that when someone from that area who knows it will read and go, I know that, I've been there. Well, maybe not in that accent, but
yeah, definitely.
So, who is your favorite character that you've written?
Ooh, of the 4 characters, I have to say it's Jasmine. Jasmine's my firecracker, and I love her because she's a firecracker. And you and I had this conversation last week off camera altogether of how the characters, as an author, characters tend to take over you at some point. You know,
Yes.
when you're really getting into the storyline, sometimes they'll wake you up in the middle of the night and tap you on the shoulder. Hey, I have something I want you to write down. I have something to say. And when I tell you, I've been grocery shopping, literally just minding my business, trying to figure out what I need to purchase for the house. And all of a sudden I get a weird thought in my head of something that Jasmine was saying. I'm like, I gotta write this down. I have to write this down right now. Because if I don't, I'm gonna forget about it. But oh man, I love her. And the way she develops throughout the book. I would say she's the most complicated, and she was really the hardest person to figure out when I was trying to put my characters together, she's one of the most complex characters, and I think I love her for that particular reason.
Who's your least favorite?
I don't know if I have a least favorite. I would say one of the easier characters to write was probably Naomi. I feel like I'm probably a lot more disconnected from Naomi than any of the other characters. And the main reason is because Naomi comes from a whole different realm. And it's so funny. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, which she was going, I feel like I could identify with 3 out of the 4 characters. Naomi's one of those people that's like, she's on a pedestal. I am not on this level. So I can't identify with her on certain things. I said, no, but what I like about her is that she comes from an affluent family, but she has issues just like every other character does. They've got their flaws. And because her family is well off, it doesn't mean that she's better mentally or even emotionally than anybody else. And that's the one thing I love about her. I won't say she's my most hated character, but she's a little bit more complex when it comes down to her experiences in life than a lot of the other characters are.
It's nice to have a range of characters who you can both identify with and actually, like you have nothing in common with them at all, and you're like, I don't know where you came from because you clearly did not come from me.
Right. It's like I don't know. But just like we were saying before, I mean, if our characters come from people that we've met over time, it's some characteristic that stood out that made you pick that particular thing for that particular individual.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because like you're saying, you have a character that kind of like taps you on the shoulders. Oh, you need to write this down. This is really important. You need to know this about me. And it's just your brain actually just going, excuse me, I have an idea. But you kind of forget about that, and you get lost in this whole world of characters and it's just like they become real in your mind, like you've seen a film of them at some point.
Jules, is so true, because a friend of mine, when I was explaining my storyline probably 2 years ago at this point, she's like, why are you talking about this like you're not the one writing this? And I'm like, I don't know. It just comes off like, it's like, so this is what's happening. And this is, and oh my God, I was so upset. And she's like, why are you upset? You're the one that wrote it.
Yeah, I remember there was a particular scene in one of my books where I had to break my character to rebuild her as part of the story. And I was writing her darkest point, like her real darkest point. And I found it so difficult because, and again, it was just like, this is just, you literally just made up, you've broken this person for no reason, who doesn't exist, but you've still broken her and you're upset by it. It's just like, I know, but I don't want her to feel like that.
Exactly. And I have a specific scene I'm thinking about in my book that is exactly like that. I'm like, why did I do this? I broke my own heart doing this particular scene. I'm like, this is awful. This is so wrong. I got to fix this some kind of way.
Doesn't that show that that's the strength of writing, though, that you can write a scene that you get emotionally invested in that actually hits you? Because I get the fact that we're all supposed to get invested in the characters and blah, 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 blah. But when you write a scene, like when you watch a movie that touches you and makes you feel, deep sadness or deep despair or whatever, that's a sign of really good writing. The fact that you can actually get yourself into that point where you feel every single thing that character is feeling and everything that they're going through. And and the empathy that you get for an imaginary character is just amazing. And I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like since I've been writing, my depth of understanding people has grown. But I don't know. I mean, what, because you write, obviously, like I said, in a different genre to me. So you might look at it from a different point of view. So do you focus on like the story or the characters first, or how do you kind of put your piece together?
sometimes it just comes to me from different ideas. This book specifically came from a short story idea of 4 friends sitting around playing a drinking game. That's where it initially started from. And I'm going, oh, but what about the secrets they're going to start spilling during this drinking game? And those secrets became their storyline, and it just evolved from there. But a lot of times, even with short stories I've written, sometimes again they've come from dreams, they've come from ideas from other people, random thoughts from stuff I've read over time, things that I felt like I could write better, because I have read some really crappy romance over here.
I agree with you. Yes, there is some really, and it's a shame because I find some of the best authors I've read are either like all the indie authors, and or people who've come up through that way, because they've had to work exceedingly hard at not only writing, but also they've got a full-time job normally, or
Right.
so they have to kind of fit all their writing in amongst everything else that they're doing. So it becomes a really like a labor of love. And anyone who says anything against indie authors, I just think, well, most of the female authors in this world started off like that, like Beatrix Potter, for example.
Exactly.
And look at how she did. So I think, I think it's really important to acknowledge that the amount that goes into just writing a piece. And you say you write stuff down. Do you have like a notebook or anything? Book of secrets?
I do. Notebooks, napkins, back of receipts. I used to keep a notebook and a flashlight under my pillow when I was younger. And it's hilarious because I wake up in the middle of the night, some random thought will wake me up, and I'm like, oh, I gotta jot this down. And I start jotting things down. I've cut people off in conversation because there's a thought that came to mind, and I'm like, shh, 1 second. Gotta
Stop.
get it out.
I am busy. Stop. I need to think. Love that.
My brain just clicked. Give me 1 second.
It sounds, because obviously like what your book is about and like some of the content that's in your book, it sounds like it should be more like like the Black Book that was in like the 1980s. You know the Black Book I'm talking about? Sounds like it should be more like that. Anyone who doesn't know what they're talking about, Google 1980s women's Black Book. It will give you a lot of information.
Yeah. Erotica is a very interesting thing. I you know what's funny? What just came to mind was Lady Chatterley's Lover. I don't know why that particular book popped in my head, but it's just things like that. Everything was so subtle and nuanced back then. Now I feel like it's gotten more vulgar. Like that's one of the reasons why I write the way I write. I want it to be more of a sensual experience than just porn. Because it could literally go that way.
And I think that is the danger, isn't it, with erotica? You've got that real fine line. Unlike other genres where it just ends up being rubbish writing, in erotica, you've got that fine line between good erotica, good writing, and a pornographic piece, which is something completely different. And I think you managed to do that really well. Your characters are interesting. They make you want to read more. The scenes are interesting. There's a very interesting scene that you've read a couple of times, which I love, by the way. What made you choose to write BDSM rather than just erotica? Because obviously I know there's obviously like a spectrum within erotica, like there are all genres, but like what made you choose to go down that route?
That came out of left field, honestly. It's so funny because it's seriously because the first scene, and this was one of Stephanie's scenes. I know which one you're talking about, but the initial scene that I wrote, I was sitting there writing it, and I'm going, this is sounding a little too flowery. This is not a love scene. And I have to figure out how to word this. And I'm like, let me do a little research. I got some folks I can ask some questions to. So it got a little interesting. I'm like, okay, I've learned a lot of things when it came down to BDSM, above the basic stuff that most of us know. And that's okay, people get bondage is one of the things in the list. And I know we were talking about the difference between pain being a thing that some people get off on. I mean, there's so far you can go. Bestiality, that none of that is in the book, by the way, y'all. So don't worry about that.
That's good.
Not going to happen in anything I write, so you don't have to worry about that. But specifically in the Black community, there's so much taboo around everything sexual that I just felt like I gotta throw it in there because I gotta show y'all there's a lot that y'all either don't know or that you just haven't been exposed to even know that it could be a kink.
Now, well, I don't know actually. I might be making a very wrong assumption here. Did you talk to your like close family about this?
No.
I did think that was going to be a nose and answer. I was just imagining the conversation. I need to have a conversation. I need to ask your opinion about this.
Listen, my aunt literally threatened to flog me. We were talking about this, and she was like, oh, "I can't believe we need to talk." I mean, the books are really good, but we need to talk about this. I'm sitting there laughing because I'm going. You do realize that just because I wrote it, it doesn't mean that that's my life. I need you to understand that. And besides that, there was just certain things that I told her, I was like, there's certain things I would never discuss with you because you're my aunt. But it's funny. But like I said, that was one of the reasons why I chose my pen name as well, is because there are things where I feel like there should be some form of separation between myself and my readers, but in my personal life. But at the same time, people making assumptions. You're making an assumption based off of what I wrote that this is all my personality. And that's not 100% true.
No, I was just trying to imagine like how that conversation would go in terms of certain family members. And, you probably have some family members who are like, oh, so, what inspired you to write this? And then they're looking in it for tips or something.
Right. They won't tell me that, but
no.
But it's like, I got a question.
Yeah. Can you explain to me what this means? No, it's awesome. Are you going to do some reading for us tonight? Or this afternoon?
I'm trying to get a small piece, and that's kind of hard for me because I have meaty sections, unfortunately. Look, pun intended as well. But I'll try and see if I can throw Stephanie's first scene in there because it is a little shorter than the other one was.
Lovely. I actually got it here. I could read along with you whilst you're reading. Actually, that'd be quite nice.
That would be awesome. I want to say it's probably page 173.
Oh, I think we lost the internet there for a moment. We both managed it back safely, though, so we're all right.
Good deal.
So, tell me a little bit, whilst you're sort of finding it, and you're obviously trying to get to your page, what's the run-up to this?
So, kind of like... this particular scene, Stephanie is working alongside Sterling at this point, and one of their evening working sessions ends up being a physical working session, in short.
Boy, okay.
I'm like, that's probably about the nicest way I can put it at this particular point without getting really graphic.
That's fine. Oh, we don't mind graphic on here. Oh, I am not having fun with typing tonight. My fingers do not want to work on the keyboard. Right, okay.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Let's see. I want to see if I can find a good spot to jump into where we're not jumping too deep in. Here we go. I walked into Sterling's office at 2 o'clock that afternoon, and with the exception of bathroom breaks, we hadn't stepped foot outside the office. I'm sorry. We hadn't stepped foot outside those four walls for several hours. We had a short deadline to complete documentation for the sale of a tech company, and there were some serious discrepancies with their books to work out. Sterling and I had been digging through documents for so long that my eyes were beginning to cross. I stood up from my chair to stretch my legs. I walked past the table that held our discarded food containers and headed toward the window, glancing at the calm of the CBD before looking up at the clock on the wall. It was 11 o'clock. Wow, I didn't realize it was so late, I said aloud, facing Sterling. Keeping busy will do that to you, he said with a smirk. His eyes never left the financial report he held in his left hand. That's true. I just didn't expect to be here so late. You were advised in the beginning how this would go. I work until the job is complete, and I expect that of my staff as well, Sterling quipped. You're welcome to leave if you have more pressing matters to attend to. Sorry, got a call coming through in the middle of this. I apologize. I narrowed my eyes at his condescending tone, and before I realized it, I had walked over to his desk and placed my palms flat against it. Let me make something clear, I said. I want this deal wrapped up just as badly as you do, Mr. Chambers. There's nothing more pressing than the completion of this task. Sterling took the papers he was holding and placed them in a neat stack to his left, then knitted his fingers together in front of him, giving me his full attention. I wasn't sure if my mind was playing tricks on me because of the late hour, but at that moment, I became very aware of how attractive Sterling Chambers was. Not that I hadn't noticed before. Hell, I'd have to be blind not to. When he entered the room, everybody took notice. Power and sophistication rolled off him in waves, and that was just the basics. Sterling was almost 10 years my senior, but it wasn't obvious, nor did it take away from his appeal. He had the most beautiful sea green eyes that made me want to dive right into them and take a dip. And don't get me started on those lips that Sterling had a habit of licking when he was in deep thought, like he was doing right then. It took everything in me not to stare when it happened during board meetings, and even more effort not to mimic his gesture. The way he was looking at me at that moment triggered a tingling sensation all over my body. That's good to know, Miss Stone, he replied. And it's Sterling. I swallowed as I stretched my spine. He continued. You were specifically chosen for this and the earlier projects because of your attention to detail and your ability to think outside the box. I appreciate your dedication to this company. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to prove my worth, Mr. Sterling. Sterling smiled, and a drum solo started to thrum between my legs. Get a hold of yourself, Stephanie. This man is not flirting with you. Well, I guess we should get back to it then, I concluded, settling back into my seat. Just as I reached for the documents I had been reviewing, I heard the creak of his chair and felt him moving around the desk toward me. His cologne reached me before he did. Why does he have to smell so good? This is torture. Stephanie, his voice caressed my name. I cleared my throat and met his eyes. Yes? He sat on the edge of the desk, propping one foot up against the chair next to me. The material of his slacks stretched across his thigh, and I fought to keep my gaze from drifting below his waist. My heart started pounding in my chest. I've watched your performance in the boardroom, and I must say, I'm impressed. You're one of the youngest junior partners in the firm, and you don't take your job lightly. You've taken the initiative to help grow this company by bringing in fresh ideas. You're driven and ambitious, and I just want you to know that your efforts are not in vain. Meaning, I asked. Meaning that I'm considering you for a new position. My ears perked up. Do tell. He gave me another sexy smile before easing into the chair beside me. I want you to be my right hand. I frowned. You want me to be your new secretary? Not at all. I want to groom you into the senior partner I knew you can be. Is that so? I was ecstatic, but I gave him a polite smile. And what would be the perks for this position? If I were to accept your offer, that is. He chuckled and I shifted in my seat. I think working directly with the CFO of the company would be enough. That may be enough for some people, but I'm already working with you, albeit on a temporary basis. I folded my arms across my chest. As you stated earlier, I'm ambitious and dedicated to this company. I'm well aware of what I bring to the table. We stared at each other for a long moment, his face unreadable. Just when I started to think I'd let my cockiness get the best of me, he smirked and nodded his head. A salary increase, of course, along with the sizable upfront bonus and stock options, a corner office with your own personal assistant, and a company car of your choice. Anything else? Damn. Poker face still intact, I nodded at his offer and said, I'll think about it. Sterling let out a laugh that filled the space and caressed my skin. You're tough, but you're one asset I don't plan to lose. I want to skip down a little bit, y'all, because this is going to get a little lengthy.
You right there, Reese?
Yep, I got it.
Oh,
Something weird was going on with the audio. I'm going, okay, sorry about that.
fine. I'll take myself off again.
Are you fine? You name it and it's yours. I smiled cheekily. Careful, Sterling. You may end up eating those words. Trust me, Stephanie, I can handle anything you throw at me. He smiled broadly, a hint of mischief showing in his eyes. Do we have a deal? If my requests are met, yes. He reached out his hand to shake. When our hands touched, a strange sensation passed between us. I gasped, looking up at him. He held my hand in a sensual manner, the gentle way in which a man holds the hand of a woman he's interested in. Well, I began as I eased my hand from his grasp, the warmth from his fingers lingering on my skin. I guess we should finish up. I guess so. He didn't move. Is there something else you wanted to discuss? I asked, attempting to keep my composure. I thought I was imagining the hunger in his eyes. I had to be. It was late. We were both tired and delirium was beginning to set in. I needed to leave before I jeopardized this new opportunity. I cleared my throat and said, on second thought, the day is starting to wear on me. I think I'm going to head home. As I began to move away from him, Sterling closed the distance between us. I froze and watched him cautiously. He reached out his hand and ran the back of his fingers gently across my cheek. I shivered. Sterling, I don't think this is appropriate, I said weakly. I wanted to be inappropriate. I wanted to be naughty. I wanted to be everything but a business professional, but I needed to understand the situation. He grinned as he lifted my chin. You don't? No, I replied unconvincingly. Do you know what I think? I asked in a husky tone. I shook my head. He asked in a husky tone. I shook my head in response. I think you're a beautiful woman. Sterling moved his hand away from my chin and slid his arms around my waist, pressing my body close to his. God, why does he have to feel so good? Sterling, did you offer me this position because you felt I was qualified? Or was it just an opportunity to seduce me? I questioned. I needed to know if this was some elaborate setup. He chuckled, and the vibration went straight through me. I meant what I said about your work ethic, Stephanie. You're a strong player for the company, one of the best to date, and I want to see you reach your full potential in this business. Seducing you, that's just a mutual bonus, if you want it to be. Sterling's hands moved lower, his fingers gripping my backside, causing me to moan involuntarily. My heart was racing in my chest, and the throbbing below my waist amplified. I was so turned on I could barely think. He brought his lips to my ear and whispered, "Is that a yes?" Unable to fight the urge any longer, I gave in. Yes. Our eyes met. "You have no idea how long I've wanted to touch you like this," he breathed, thinking of what I would do to you if I got the chance. I placed a finger on his lips. "No more talking. Show me." "Yes, ma'am." His mouth came down on mine, and I felt like I would drown in his warmth. He parted my lips with his tongue, cradled the back of my head, and took our kiss deeper. He kissed me like he was reliving the fantasies in his mind. I pulled away and pushed him up against the desk. "Don't move," I commanded. A surprised expression crossed his face when was soon replaced by a primal awareness. I walked over to the door and flipped the lock, testing the handles to make sure we wouldn't be interrupted. Then I turned, slowly unbuttoning my blouse as I moved back toward the desk. Watching the longing play across his face fueled me. Silently, I eased my blouse from my shoulders and tossed it into my vacant chair. I reached back and unzipped my skirt and let it slip over my hips and onto the floor as I stepped out of my heels. When I was done, I stood before him in nothing but my bra and panties, purposely positioning myself just out of his reach. "Touch me, Sterling." His hands moved. His fingers trailed along my collarbone, up and down my arms, and skimmed my spine. He groaned as he explored my body, his touch igniting a need in me to have him closer. Skip this down a little bit more. He readjusted our positions to lift me onto his desk, my legs dangling over the edge. Sterling stared into my eyes as his hand inched its way up my inner thigh. I parted my legs further, anticipating his next destination. I wanted him to touch me where I ached. He obliged, his fingers sliding beneath my panties to stroke my wetness. My eyes rolled back, and I moaned as he dipped his fingers into my well. "I want to," he began. My finger went to his lips once again. "Shh, show me," I repeated. Sterling smirked, then removed my panties and tucked them into his pants pocket, which surprised me. He kissed along the length of my torso, easing me onto my back atop the papers on his desk. And before I could blink, he raised my hips to his mouth and began to feast on my heat. While I lay against the desk trying to catch my breath, Sterling began to undress. His tie and shirt joined my blouse in the chair, and his slacks and boxers were discarded. He had a beautifully toned body, slender but muscular in all its golden glory. I bit my lip as I watched him slide a condom down the length of his shaft. Damn. Like what you see? His arrogance was stirring a side of me that I didn't understand. There was something about him that I couldn't put my finger on, something that called out to me on a deeper level. "Impressive," I said in a mocking tone, although my statement was truthful. "I've got your impressive," he said smugly. "Prove it," I dared. Sterling moved toward the desk, spreading my legs with his hips with each step. Then he rubbed the length of his shaft back and forth against my wetness, teasingly. When I reached down to touch him, he pulled my hand away. I rolled my hips with his movements, the teasing driving me crazy. When I couldn't take it any longer, I reached for him again. Sterling grabbed my wrists and pinned them to my sides. He continued his relentless teasing, rubbing his length against me agonizingly slow. "Sterling, please," I begged shamelessly. I was out of my mind with lust. "Do you want me?" he asked, as his fingers found their way inside me once again. I moaned, and he slapped my ass soundly with his free hand. "I asked you a question." His fingers stroked me deeper, and I moaned louder. He slapped my ass again. "When you disobey me, I will punish you. Is that what you want?" Sterling sent another smack across my bottom. "Yes, punish me." Sterling's eyes seemed to sparkle. He quickly turned me around, bent me over the desk, and pinned my wrist behind my back with one hand. He sent another succession of smacks across my cheeks with his free hand as I squirmed against the hard surface, wetness dripping down my thighs. Are you ready to answer my question? He asked as he tenderly stroked my stinging flesh. Yes, I breathed. Sterling released my wrist, then trailed his fingers over my skin as he eased his way up my back. A tingle of excitement ran through me as his fingers wrapped firmly around my throat. He pulled me into a standing position, my back pressed against his chest. Then he positioned himself at my entrance as he kissed my cheek. Do you want me, Stephanie? He repeated. Yes. Yes, sir. His free hand massaged my breast as he waited for my response. I swallowed. Yes, sir. That's the end of that scene.
Oh, hang on. Let me make it. No. There we go. I'm still learning the cameras. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I love that scene. I find it interesting that you wrote it in the way that you did, and you kept it on, like you kept the whole scene going. Then this is where it kind of, the separation, isn't it, between erotica and porn, where you kind of, there is depth to it. There's a relationship going on between these two people. They're not just, you know. So
bang, bang, bang.
Whoa. Some people like that. I'm not going to judge.
Basically.
So tell me a little bit, because I think as a woman, writing from a male character, and I don't know if it's the same for men writing women, because I'm not a man. So, but writing male characters, what's your thoughts on that? Because I find writing the male characters in my novels a bit tricky. And I find it really difficult to get into their heads. So I'm like, every male I know, I'm like, what would you do?
This is the things that I do. I pick the brains of my male friends. I walk up to them and go, listen, you got a minute? I need to talk to you about something. Or I'll send them the scene. Does this sound realistic? Because I don't want it to sound like just flowery language. I don't want it to sound like something I made up. I want it to actually sound like something that will really come out of a guy's mouth. And I've been around enough of them. I'm the only child of 3 with that's a girl, and I got 2 older brothers. So I spent the majority of my life when I was younger around a bunch of boys. My male cousins that are close to me, all boys. So some of the language kind of comes from that, but it's usually picking other people's brains. Look, I want to talk to you because I want to make sure this sounds like something that somebody would actually say.
And I think that separates the genre from porn, doesn't it? Where you actually do that background research, you actually talk to people and say, what would be the most accurate response here from a person of your gender, whether it's male or female, whoever you're writing. But I would never feel comfortable writing a transgender person in my book, not because I don't agree I have no issue with trans people at all. I'm 100% an ally of them, and fully support everything that they're doing, but I would feel uncomfortable writing that character. So if I was doing that, I would have to go and speak to people who were trans so that I had an accurate portrayal and a non-offensive portrayal of them as well, so they weren't like a caricature. Exactly. So I think that's really important, and I think you really captured that really well. Now listen, tell us about your book. Where can we get it from? I know I have it, but tell everyone else out there where we can get your book from.
Well, the name of the book is Trapped. You can get it from Barnes & Noble, online, in hardcover, paperback, and digital, and also on Amazon in paperback and digital formats. So it is available, y'all. I am in the process of working on part 2. There is going to be a trilogy. So keep an eye out, y'all. I'll be looking for readers. Probably, fingers crossed, I'll be looking for readers in the springtime. So keep it, y'all. Keep. I got you, Jules. I got you. But yes, I will definitely be looking for readers for the second part. And if y'all think this one's crazy, the second one's probably gonna be just as intense as the first one.
I'm looking forward to that. That's very intriguing and very interesting, all wrapped up into one. Thank you, Reese. I know we've been talking for about 6 months now, haven't we? It's just around that. Yes. It's gone so quick. But it's just so nice to actually be able to have a proper conversation with you about your book and your thoughts behind it and where you come from with it and lots more, hopefully, in the future as well. So
definitely, I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. So I am going to wish you a fabulous evening. Are you hanging around?
Yes.
Around. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to let you go into the shadows so you can watch from afar and see the next conversation I'm going to have. We are going to have a group chat in a short while, but we're going to welcome another author to our midst. So fare thee well until very soon, in a few minutes.
Definitely. I'll be
Thanks
here.
so much, Reese. All right. Okay. So, it's always a pleasure talking to both new authors and to authors that you already know, especially ones that you have I think, a nice relationship with. I really enjoy our conversations. So, and I know you can hear me, Reese. So, thank you. And yes, what we talked about, I think that's definitely a good go. Yeah. All right, so we're going to welcome a new author to us again. She's not been on here before. She's a little bit nervous, so I'm going to be really nice there. So we're just going to have a nice chat. So welcome Lily. Oh, hang on a second. I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, Reese. I'm still learning. Don't be unkind to me, people. Be nice. Hi, Lily. How are you doing?
Hi, Jules. It's nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. Now, I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to really talk to you properly because it's been a bit hectic my end in terms of obviously cameras. As you can see, I have an issue with. It's a button, but I don't seem to be able to do that tonight, so that's interesting.
No, you look great.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. So tell us a little bit about you. You write, obviously. What is it you write? What genre is it you write in?
Okay, so I write about sissification. Sorry, can you hear me well? I'm just using my
I can
thing
hear you,
here.
Yeah.
Okay, I write sissification and feminization stories. And by the way, hi, I'm Lily Lustwood. I'm a transgender woman, and I'm an author. I have 2 pen names, so it's it took more than a month of courage to really come out with this pen name as me, because my original books dealt with, women like me, our issues when it comes to dating. And then I'm treading this erotica that's like sissification and feminization, which is to some can be considered like fetishizing the womanhood of transgender women. But to me, it's like, it's like, why censor anyone's kink, or why censor their happiness and pleasure, So, it's just, so I just want to I want to clarify the confusion, because it's not about what I'm writing. Is basically, I'm writing for men who have fetishes on being submissive and being feminized and sissified. So most of them are heterosexual males. So yeah, that's what I write as my genre.
That's really powerful. Did you hear what I said about writing trans characters?
I agree with you, because right now, because I'm exploring femdom. I have an idea about it. A lot of idea about trans femdom, but when it comes to cisgender women, of course, you have different parts. So it's like writing from that perspective, I want to get it right. But I feel like, I get the same way as you do. So I consult. especially my art readers, like, my cisgender women readers. And I was like, is this correct? Is this the feeling? Like, when you, so yeah. So that's what I do. But most of my titles have transgender women and sissies. But I also incorporate some cisgender women because I think, it's more fun if everyone's in one book.
That's really cool. I think it's really powerful to write from what you know and incorporate, I think every author puts a little bit of their soul into what they write, don't they? A little bit of their own experiences, a little bit of their own histories. And, we talked a little bit this evening actually about the pen name and how important a pen name is and how difficult it is to have, maybe female pen name that's really identifiable as female. And so, and I've met people online before who definitely don't want to have any relation. I mean, like Reese has obviously just put her name, like her first name, but I've got people online who I'm friends with who won't put anything at all to do with their name on it, because they're just so frightened of being judged for being female. And I know like the trans community are still really a struggling group trying to get their voices heard sufficiently across the globe. I wouldn't say that there's, particular country necessarily that's doing better than another, but I mean, obviously, but I don't have experiences of that. So you have your own journey to tell about that. So, and that's really powerful. So what drove you to do writing?
Okay, so first of all, I'm in the Philippines. It's 4:30 in the morning here, and yeah, so I started writing when I was 10, mostly poems. And what drove me to write more was when I won a poetry contest in school. So it's like, okay, well, I'm good at this. Maybe, I don't know. And then it snowballed from there because I, as a transgender woman, I didn't want to play with toys like male toys,
Mm-hmm.
So most of the stuff that I get for my birthday are like cars, trucks, and all that. So my resolve were reading fairy tales because it was the closest that I can get to playing with a Barbie doll, because that was, what I really wanted to play. I would go to my cousin's house sometimes and she would like share her Barbies with me. So yeah, so that's the story about that. And then when I was 14, sorry, I tend to ramble. When I was 14, my friend my friend shared this website to me. It's called Fiction Press. And he's like, you know what? We should make a fun contest. Like, we should check the comments of the people on whose work they like more. And it was like a really fun contest. We would publish short stories and poems and, yeah, so I just really enjoyed it. And then professionally, I started writing at 20, I think it was 2013. No, 2011. I was 21 years old. I started as a copywriter for a company called, I'm not promoting anything, but I'm just sharing. It's called mytransgenderdate.com. It's the first decent dating website for transgender women, because most of the websites for dating for trans women were all about escorts or hookups. So yeah, so when I started my job there, I was like, I could write more and I could work for other companies as well. So it became my part-time, and I started writing professionally and took courses online. And so, yeah, so basically I've done more copywriting, like, but wait, there's more. Click here.
But wait.
Yes. So that's, like when they say, oh, you're a writer, it's so exciting. Well, I wrote about the savory, beefy taste of blah, blah, blah beef jerky. So it's not that exciting, But yeah, basically I do everything that I do is writing. And writing erotica. I started writing erotica just last month. and I chose to publish short stories because, again, I work in marketing. So I want to build my audience first.
Mm-hmm.
And I want, because I know that, Kindle is, I don't know why I'm sharing marketing tips right now. Do you want to hear about this? Sorry.
I'm going to write all of it down. Hang on. I'll go for it.
Yeah, so when you write short stories, and especially me, I have a full-time job and I have a part-time job. I can write a short book of like 5,000 words and edit it and, in like 5 days or so. So the more you have, because the most effective marketing tool when you're selling ebooks is your back matter. So for 1 month, I was like, going everywhere, all the websites, creating free stories as lead magnets and, getting people in my mailing list. So right now I'm kind of reaping the benefits from that. And by that, I mean, I have Halloween books and I want to share it.
You must be very tired. I feel your pain a little bit. I have some empathy for the hours that you've been doing in terms of like your writing, but
yeah. So what do you call this? So yeah. Your question was when I started writing, and I went on for like in a tangent for 10 minutes. Sorry about that. So last month, a month ago, 1 month and 2 weeks, something like that. Around the time when my dog died. So all of my books, I have like on the front page, he's like, he's included everywhere. So yeah.
I love it. It just takes so much bravery, doesn't it, to to do what you're doing, and I really admire that. And I think it's much needed in this world, and I'm very interested to hear what you're going to read for us tonight or morning, should I say, in your case.
Okay. I hope I heard it. You don't write erotica, right? And you don't read a lot.
I don't write erotica or read it. I have Reese's book here, but I think it's just never for me personally been science fiction and fantasy. I write dark fantasy, so I write stuff. Sorry, that's my dog who's decided to make an apologies.
Hi, doggy. No, I love dogs. It's fine.
So he's very proud. He's brought a shoe up to me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I tend to write. I mean, even like I was saying, like even writing and they kissed. I find for me really like I don't know what to say, but so I've been really brave and in book 3 for my first series, the protagonist, she has her first sort of sexual encounter, which is as someone who is the same gender of hers. So that was quite exciting. That's about as exciting as it got. They kissed and that's about it. I'm still trying to pluck up the courage for anything else.
That's a huge step, opposed to just saying they went together.
Yeah. I was just like wait, was it? I didn't write obviously they kiss. But yes, it was. I wrote the scene and I was just like, I've grown up. 1 second, sorry. Yeah. So but apart from that, that's as close as I've got. So everyone who writes erotica, I really admire it. First of all, but in terms of like. Adding other things into it as well, same sex and trans relationships and all of that. I really admire that hugely. So, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. Although I am very sorry, you did say that your dog passed away, which I'm really sad to hear. And obviously you can hear I am a dog owner.
Yeah, I know. But he lived a good life, 15 years and 3 months, I think.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, they're lifelong companions, aren't they? For sure. Yeah. Okay. Is this a book that has been published, or are you still working on it at the moment?
Yes, it's been published, but it's the second book of my Dark Halloween romance series. So normally my books have like, even if they're erotica, they're really plot heavy and culture heavy. Some of my titles are called Tokyo Sissy Hostess. It's like, a modern day geisha thing. My other book is called The Fifth Wife. So it's the struggle of being in a relationship with a Muslim man as a transgender woman. And, it was exciting because she had to travel to Dubai and dress up as a guy, because they would, fly you out if you dress up as a woman and your passport is, male. So my stories are like that. But for this one, for Halloween, I really wanted something fun, something magical, and something erotic. But I'm gonna warn you, like, my books are like short, like they're like 10K words. So the sex scenes are graphic, and kind of like the way I describe them is like his hands are like, here on the left, and then his thumb is here, like, it's very also, I don't know. I get very descriptive, so I hope you don't find it weird.
I'm pretty sure we won't. We are a like-minded crew here, I think, and I mean the people who we have on here are just amazing, and we have regular authors as well who attend. And Reese is one of them. So and they're just amazing, all of them. So yeah, and like if you decide that you like us, then you're welcome to hang around with us more each week. You'll be very welcome. And the same goes to Jasmine, who's just actually posted on the comment section. So just a shitty poet. So hello, Jasmine, in case you can't hear me. So yeah, so you're very welcome to. So I'm going to hand it over to you. So if you just introduce your book, and I'm going to mute myself, so it's just going to be you on screen. Okay.
Okay. Can I put my camera like this when I read? I kind of get shy. I kind of get conscious. Yeah.
You can do it however makes you feel the most comfortable, for sure.
Thank you. So
You're
I'm
very
gonna
welcome.
show the sorry about that. I'm gonna show the book cover first. I do everything. I did the book cover too. I'm just looking for it right now. Sorry. Okay, guys, I hope you're still watching. So this is the cover of Sissy White, and the
Oh, I don't know if you pressed. Oh, Lily, I'm so sorry. I think you did you press the wrong button? Hang on, let me bring you back to the screen.
I think I flipped it, but I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna do it like this.
You did just a good. Well, I've been pressing the wrong cameras all evening. Ah, nice.
Okay, so this is the cover of Sissy White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they're in like rainbow colors. And I included two women, one cisgender woman and one transgender woman, but they didn't have a term for her back then. So yeah, that's it. So this book contains gang fun.
You got nothing to be embarrassed about, honestly. Honestly, we've heard a lot of different things on this show, and so you're part of the crew.
Don't worry, I'm gonna read the part of the Huntsman and Sissy White, so I'm not gonna, shock you too much.
No, over to you.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so we will start on chapter 6. So forgive me because I'm going to try my British accent and German accent at the same time. Okay. Okay. Can you still hear me? Sorry about that. Hello? All right. So this is Sissy White and the Seven Dwarfs by Lily Lustwood. Okay, I'm just looking for it right now. The part. Okay. Sissy White and the Seven Dwarfs by Lily Lustwood, a forced sissy fairy tale. Remember, Gunther, it is the princess heart or yours, Queen Ingrid warned right after ordering Sissy White's death from her huntsman in her kitchen. Gunther, a 6 foot 2 inches brute with a body covered in brunette carpets of hair, gulped from the harrowing request. He sauntered as he shivered closer to take the sharp dagger from the queen's hand, as his raggedy doublet and brown tights drenched in sweat. Leave at once. Her heart must be served to the guests on a platter this evening. Moments later, Sissy White hummed in anticipation as she hopped and skipped from the servants' barracks to the castle. Your Highness, Gunther said in a trembling, deep voice, shaking with a rusty dagger in his pocket. Oh, Gunther, hello there, Sissy White greeted cheerfully. Thou must come with me immediately. I have heard about the whereabouts of thy father, he said. My father? Without hesitations, Sissy White offered her hand, signaling Gunther to lead her to where her father was. A few moments later, Sissy White stopped to pant and rest from the unforeseen hustle. As she sat on a spooning position on the earthy ground, with her milky thighs exposed on a misty October afternoon, Gunther pulled the dagger from his brown leather boot. He raised his hand and gestured to stab the princess when... Gunther! Sissy White yelled as her innocent brown eyes widened. As soon as he heard the fear from her exclamation, he lost grip of the dagger and hugged the scared Sissy. I shan't perform the wretched hag's wish. I'm very sorry, Your Highness. He apologized as tears aggressively fell down to his sun-damaged cheeks. Hag? Wish? What do you mean? Sissy White asked with a calmer disposition as she carried the weight of the crying brute. The Queen ordered your death, Sissy White, he said with warm breaths. The princess shook her head in disbelief and returned Gunther's mercy with a hug. As soon as the huntsman felt her gentle embrace, his 9-inch manhood creamed from his thighs. Chapter 7. Oh, Gunther, let me repay thy kindness, Sissy White said in a euphoric state, brought upon by feeling the brute's hard and thick erection pressed against her thigh. She held the brute's hand and led it to lift her bodice dress, turning him on further. His state instantaneously switched from mercy to lasciviousness. He then rubbed his pulsating penis from his brown soiled tights against Sissy White's exposed milky thighs. Oh, Gunther, I can feel your damp joy, she murmured as he continued rubbing her thighs with his penis. Your Highness, I am but a lowly huntsman. Thou owe me nothing. I could set you free at once, he said humbly, albeit not wanting to let her go. I wish nothing but to feel like a lady at this moment, Sissy White reassured as she rubbed Gunther's hard-on from his tights with her delicate hand. Whoa! Gunther exclaimed from the warm touch of the horny Sissy. Moments later, he couldn't take the longing anymore. He tore his raggedy doublet and rolled his tights down, then sat on Sissy White's chest. The princess felt intoxicated from sniffing the sweaty, brown, veiny, fat, and hard cock of the huntsman that flapped up and down her nose and mouth. She inhaled his testosterone with gung-ho as Gunther grabbed his short brown hair from disbelief, giving Sissy White a view of his hairy armpits and girthy arms. "Ugh!" Gunther exclaimed right after the sissy took his yearning, uncut dick in her sweet mouth. "Mm." Sissy White let out as her 2-incher uncontrollably twitched in a myriad of directions. "Thou art indeed a lady," Gunther said softly as he enjoyed a royal fellatio. "This is incredible," Sissy White let out from taking his manhood deep down her throat, causing the huntsman to curl his toes and pull his hair harder from the mind-blowing sensation. "Ugh!" Gunther exclaimed from euphoria. Moments later, "Take me, Gunther," she requested. She then unhinged herself from the confines of his girthy thighs with curly brown hairs, then bent over, giving Gunther a view of her sweet sissy hole and pink tiny balls. I have never entered something like this, Your Highness," Gunther explained as his eyes were glued to her tight pink hole. Sissy White gave him a lustful stare from her shoulders, then nodded in a coquettish invitation. She then spat on her hand, then fingered her sissy hole, giving him a preview of where his manhood could be. Seeing how tight the sissy hole was, Gunther leaned closer without hesitations. "Ugh!" Sissy White exclaimed from the huntsman's fervor. You high," Gunther let out, not having enough words to express how joyous he was. His dick has never been in a confinement as tight as Sissy White's hole. "Ugh!" Gunther exclaimed after the sissy clenched her anal muscle. He felt like his manhood was being choked by a goddess of orgasm. "So big, so girthy." Sissy White giggled as she playfully tightened and released her anus, making the huntsman feel like he has reached nirvana. "Ugh!" Gunther screamed once more. He wanted to stay inside longer, but his body was begging for release. Without thinking things through, he started pouncing the naughty sissy's ass. "Ugh!" Sissy White screamed from the second thrust of aggression. "Ugh!" She screamed once more from the huntsman's follow-through. "Your Highness, you're indeed the fairest in the land," he let out, struggling to keep up with being decipherable as he went in and out of her delightful hole. Sissy White felt delirious whenever his thick pubic hair, big hairy balls, and thick cock touched her skin and orifice. She felt wanted and loved, like how most ladies desire to feel. "You!" Gunther let out with gasps and trickles of sweat. "Yes," Sissy White replied with an open mouth from euphoria. "You're high," he said, but before he could finish his sentence, he shot his wild wads of strong sperm inside her yearning hole. He then shook his body as Sissy White circled her hips in a dog-style position to suck him dry. "Oh my, Gunther," she let out with a lustful tone as she enjoyed the feeling of his warm and thick baby gravy inside her. "Thank you, Your Highness," he gently said as he unhinged his cock from her sweet milky body. Please run away, far away. The queen does not want you alive. I will fool her into thinking that you're gone. Take care, your highness, he said with utmost concern. Oh no! With a sore and soiled anus, Sissy White stood up and then frantically ran as fast as she could and as far from the castle as possible. She used every bit of power from her frail and sweet body in the cold and harsh path with only her pink body's dress on. Sissy White yelled from stepping on a stone that almost broke her pink ballet flats. She kept running until her legs couldn't take one more step anymore, when suddenly, a cottage! She curiously sauntered towards the cottage with profuse panting and then knocked 3 times. So, yeah. Hello?
Hello. That was amazing.
Okay, that was cringy though.
Oh, it was amazing. You read that so well.
Multiple personalities. Like, what's with the accents? I'm not Madonna.
I actually really, I quite liked the different accents, and I liked the voice acting as well that was going on. That was amazing. What I'm gonna do, if it's all right with you, Lily, is I'm going to open the floor up a little bit. We've got Reese, who's still here, who obviously, as you know, writes erotica. And we're going to invite Adam, who's sat so patiently waiting in the wings. So I'm going to invite them both in back to the stream. And we're just going to have a group chat. I'm going to step back a little bit and I'm going to, let you guys take the floor a little bit. So hang on a second. Here we go. Let's unmute these people. Unmute. So if you unmute your hello, so what you need to do is just turn your volume down on your phone, and then that's right. Turn your volume right down on your phone, and then because we can still hear you. You see, so wonderful. All right, hello. How are you, Adam? We haven't seen you yet.
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. I really enjoyed everybody's reading tonight. This is great.
So I thought because you and Reese are way more expert at the erotica stuff, as it's been clearly pointed out to me over the chat. So thank you. I thought I'll step back a little bit and allow you guys to, because you actually had some really nice comments as well that you were writing, and I thought it'd be nice for you to have an opportunity to share your thoughts about what Lily's written and her work, and I thought it was amazing. But I'm not an expert on erotica, so I'm going to hand it over to the experts over this one.
Reese and I thought it was great. We thought it was totally great. I loved your description was beautiful. Your reading was beautiful. Your accents. I had no problem with your accents whatsoever. I thought they were fabulous. I think you should stick with that. And your description and it was so hot. It was so sexy. Great job. Great job. I loved it.
Thank you.
I feel an audiobook coming on with this, and we have been talking about audiobooks for the last couple of months, and I swear this would be an exceptional audiobook. Lily, the read was amazing. Description was everything. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed your reading too. I was like, oh my God, I need to get this guy. Like, green eyes. And like, who doesn't want that?
Ball, right?
And what resonated with me was, the part where, he dipped his fingers in my well. I think that was brilliant. It was... Okay, I'm not going to plagiarize it.
You can feel that? You can feel that? You totally
felt that. Yeah.
It's so good.
Sorry, I was just saying, we've got Jazz. Jazz is back, but her video's not on, so I don't know if she. Oh, did you want to come and join us, Jazz? Come on then. Let me add you to the stream.
Welcome back.
Hello.
I thought it'd be quite nice for you guys to actually have an opportunity to share your thoughts about each other's work and talk a little bit about what you've been writing, and give each other some feedback and have a talk about what you've been writing and things like that without me kind of like controlling the conversation. So.
I'm with Lily. No, I'm with Lily. I love the celebration of all types of kinks, and that's what my book is full of, interesting kinks, and I think that's so special, and to elevate them and celebrate it. Oh yeah, no, I think what you just read was so good. How many chapters are there? You said chapter 7. How many total chapters?
My Halloween books are all of them have 13 chapters just for fun.
Look at you.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Like that. Thank you.
And is it already an audiobook?
Oh no, I'm planning to I'm planning to release audiobooks, but they're so pricey to hire, like, voice actors. Costs a lot. So
Well, you're a pretty good one yourself, so
right.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, listen, you should do this.
Yeah.
You guys are too kind.
You could totally do it yourself.
But it's so nice to connect with authors because I love sharing marketing stuff with each other and, sharing audiences and growing together. I think it's very important. And, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Thank you for staying up so late and being part of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know. I'm lucky. Mine's just the evening. Like, you guys are the ones who have to put yourselves out to actually be here. So, hats off to all of you guys. You've done brilliantly. So thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure. I really enjoy doing this because I get to meet so many different authors and people who are really talented as well, who don't always get a chance to, share their work with people. So yeah, it's lovely. But yeah, welcome to the team. Welcome to the community. We are very nice people here.
And mention it to your other fellow author friends, because we'd love to have more people join us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, definitely. One of my good friends she's really doing great. She's always in the bestseller list. Her name is Yumi Cox. So, but she's so busy. Like I can't get a hold of her. No. So, I want more marketing tips, and I'm like, come on, give me your secrets. What are you hiding? But
we all need to help each other out with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wish there was more poets in this conversation right now, because I have questions about like getting published and marketing and stuff, but like it's so hard to find places that accept poetry book submissions, and that will accept the kind of poetry that I write. So maybe I'll try out some more indie erotica, more like leaning places, because maybe they'll be more open to it.
I think Medium is a very good website for your poetry. Yeah. Because you will have you don't have to worry about a payment system, and you can set your own rules of how much you want to price everything, and if they want to pay for that poem. And it's just if Kindle is Kindle not doing
I want to traditionally publish. So.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, you should jump on. We do another book slam on Tuesdays that is mostly poets.
Oh.
We tend to be like novel authors that tend to be on a Thursday, but the Tuesday book slam is mostly poets every week. It's at a different time. It's at 8 p.m. or something Eastern time. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's a different time frame, but yeah, tons of poets are on there. Maybe there would be a good connection to be made on the Tuesday club as well.
Well, I would love to be invited.
Consider yourself invited.
I'm not putting I wasn't putting you on the spot there. I wasn't putting you on the spot there.
Oh, it's fine.
No, we definitely say come on in.
I will send you my contact details in terms of publishing.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
But
yeah, I've been sending them out. You know, I've gotten a couple no's. I've gotten a yes, but it wasn't the yes that I wanted. So
I felt a lot of rejections early on with my subject matter being too erotic, also too straightforward, smutty. So I feel you that they see certain words and it just becomes pornography in people's minds, and it's not pornography. It's
and I completely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually I don't talk about this a lot, but I used to be somewhat famous on a kink website. And I used to do camming, and I was an escort for a long time. And so like I did dominatrixing. I also did submission. I was in a full BDSM relationship 24/7. So it's really interesting to hear other people talking about that and getting more knowledge out there.
Sex work is real work.
Sex work is real work. I wrote a very long prose piece about it. What's it called? I can't think of it right now. Yeah, I can't think of it right now. But I wrote a really long prose piece about it, and I wrote a 12-page paper on why sex work should be legalized, because it would help us protect our rights to security of person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree.
Yes, talk to Jules about publishing at Danu Books. Talk to her.
I'll send me a DM after this and we'll talk.
Absolutely, thank you.
Oh.
Sorry, I feel like I'm taking up the conversation.
You are really not at all, honestly. Okay, so this started off as so like Indy, who's amazing, started this off purely as a podcast even on Clubhouse, which we still are doing, but we've extended it out to this format because it's actually a really nice meeting authors, like face to face, and actually having those conversations and finding out what makes them tick and why they've written what they have and stuff. So it's kind of evolved into more of a talk show style format, I suppose. Not deliberately, it's just kind of evolved that way, but it seems to work, and I think, you know, authors that we have on really enjoy it. So, you know, if you've enjoyed your time with us, we would love to have you back again. So
I have loved my time here.
Oh, that's
and also I'll be inviting, as long as it's okay with you, I'll be inviting you and Adam, because I know Adam's Twitter profile as well, to my writers group if you want to promote there as well. And also there's just a lot of amazing authors and writers on there. If anyone else wants to tell me their Twitter name, I can invite you as well. But we promote spaces, we promote each other's books, and we all support each other.
Yeah, I must admit, the writers group you're talking about. Oh, sorry, Reese, go on.
No, I was just saying, it sounds like a plan.
Oh yeah, no, it's really cool because actually that's how we kind of met, isn't it? Via that Twitter group, and I have actually mentioned this podcast before on there, and I think people go, oh, there's a cost involved, or there must be a catch, or I'm not really sure about that, or whatever. And you know, you kind of were like, yeah, okay, I'll have a go. So you know, you can go back and say I was on, and actually they didn't eat me, so it's all right. But no, we're not. Say that again. I didn't hear you. You cut out on my end. What did you say?
Oh, I said they didn't eat me. They just ate me out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. Stop embarrassing.
Adam is in his happy place right now.
It's so mean. I'm gonna tell my mommy. Yeah, see, I told you, like, I get to the eye and penis, and I'm like, oh no, I can't write that. That's a bit scary. Just so they kiss. I'll just leave it at that. That's the safe word. It's fine.
You can leave talking about penises to the rest of us. We're okay with that.
I'll quite happily step back. That's fine. I am not an expert. Like writing breasts or any other female body parts where I was like, oh, boobs. Yeah, she's 17. She'll say boobs. It's fine.
There you go.
Today.
Oh no, it's funny. Oh no, but it's really lovely having like so many new authors and just meeting new authors and having a community of authorship as well, because and the other thing as well, I actually started a Discord. It's so new. It's like so in this infancy, embryonic stage. So it'd be cool for you to join that as well. And it's specifically just for authors and beta readers to support each other and to share ideas and, you know, ask for feedback. And, you know, everything that is on there cannot be shared in terms of like copywriting or anything like that. It's literally just a space for authors. So share and share. It's called Write Owls. And yeah, I will. What I'll do is I'll put the information up somewhere. And so you can join that too if you're interested. So yeah. All right. So I tell you what. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about yourselves for a bit? Because I've obviously had my voice a lot, and you've embarrassed me with the word penis. So I'm gonna just be quiet for a minute. I keep thinking the more I say it, the more I say it, the easier I'll get. And just know.
You just gotta keep practicing. Exactly.
I look in the mirror. Penis. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll just keep saying that to myself, and then someone will walk in, especially my son who's like 18, and he'll be like, "Mother."
Oh my god, this is too funny.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Adam, since we didn't get a chance to talk to you that much today, now we're gonna pick your brain.
Yes.
So how far have you come on your with your audio?
Oh, okay. So I am. I think I've read through 28 chapters out loud of the 85 chapters that are my novel in preparation for the audiobook. Yeah, I'm hoping to have it finished by Halloween in preparation for the next step. I want to read the whole thing out loud to myself and make sure that it flows so that when I'm ready for the recording of it, it'll happen nicely. And I am going to be doing the audiobook myself, which I'm pretty excited about. Yeah, and so Jazz, just to give you a little background on my story, it's a queer norm fantasy novel where people's sexuality and orientation and gender expression are never an issue for anyone. And there are people of transgender men and women. There are non-binary people and people of size, older people. I celebrate people of age. I try to invent a world that was just a celebration of beautiful people. And it's not a utopia. There are some struggles, and they have some like stuff they go through, whatever. But yeah, that's what I've done. I've written a huge story that was it was kind of like what Lily was saying, that you started like writing whatever, like, and Reese, I had no intention of writing a huge novel. I was writing some little like erotica short stories. I was writing some poetry, and it just sort of evolved into this story where one sex scene kind of led to another sex scene, and they just kept going, and it's just a lot of sex scenes, and then there's some other stuff that happens as well. But yeah, and so it's not out yet. I'm releasing it with Jules. Where are you? Oh, that way, Jules. I'm releasing it with Jules's book company. Yeah, so I'm hopefully 2023 it'll be in a physical copy and an audiobook. That's the goal for me. So yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Support other artists. I'll pick it up.
That's awesome. Thank you.
It's quite a big book. I'll do my best.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good.
We're trying to figure it out.
I'm gonna be quiet again. I think. Be safer.
Right.
Less embarrassing.
I love it.
I've been really wanting to include more, like in my book of poems. I want to collaborate with a trans author, or a trans poet, because it's Sluts, Whores, and the Reasons We Deserve More is about women's struggles, but I would really like to include all women's struggles as much as possible. And I can only write about my experiences. So I've been looking to collaborate with other authors who can write about their experiences and add that in. Because I want it to encapsulate the female experience, the full female experience, not just one version of it.
I like that.
Definitely. I'm open to, collaborations.
Yes.
And a compilation work is so awesome. Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've managed to rope Adam into one. So yeah, so watch his space for that.
Hi, Carolyn. One more person, yay!
Hello, Ceiling.
Hey, I have been on the entire time. Okay, I have been on the entire time. But what happened?
I'm so sorry.
You're probably not going to see my face.
That's fine.
I look hideous, but anyway.
No, you don't.
I have been doing everything. Reese, you blew me away. I mean, all the way. I've enjoyed everything I've heard today. I'm multitasking. I'm working, so I.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Carolyn, you
Carolyn,
are you still there?
Oh no, Carolyn.
Poor Carolyn.
Freeze.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Carolyn, I'm gonna have to start wrapping up now. But we'll come to you first. You'll come and see us next week, and we'll have a chat properly. And maybe you'll feel brave enough to put your makeup on, and if you want, or not, if you don't want to, and show your face, because you look beautiful in that very blurred shot that we saw. So it would be nice to see you. So I'm so sorry that we were like a flyby in camera format. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you to wonderful authors. So Jazz, amazing. Just a Shitty Poet. Go and follow her on Twitter. Thank you so much for your poetry. Lily, amazing work. Thank you so much for what you're doing for cis and trans women the world over. Reese, thank you very much for your wonderful story and your erotica that you present to us with such delicate and eloquent ways. And Adam, thank you for your input as well. It's been absolutely a pleasure to see you and to hear from you as always. So I'm going to wrap this up. Lovely to see you all. Take care. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you so much.